Okay, just stop for a second and try to imagine something really fundamental. What if words, grammar, even just naming things, what if that all just didn't exist? How would you think? How would you even, like, experience the world around you?
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a mind bender, doesn't it? But it's not just some philosophical game. It's actually this radical thought experiment. The sources we looked at call it a counterfactual scenario. And it's right at the heart of our deep dive today.
Right. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring what the sources call the language enigma.
Exactly. Our mission really is to peel back the layers on the fundamental and often pretty invisible role language plays in our lives.
And we're going to challenge that sort of deep assumption that language is the only way we make meaning.
And hopefully broaden our whole understanding of what communication even is.
Yeah, we've been digging into some really fascinating material for this one. There's the language enigma, a study guide, then the language enigma, beyond words, and also the unspoken world, beyond language's embrace.
And they each give a slightly different angle, a different lens on this whole incredible topic.
So let's unpack this main idea first, this hypothetical.
Okay, so the central thing running through these sources is picturing a world where language just never happened.
Just try to picture it. No words at all, no grammar, no way to label anything or classify or even describe.
Right, just raw, unfiltered experience.
It's kind of dizzying when you really think about it.
It really is, and what's truly fascinating is thinking about the profound impact that absence would have. On our cognition, for sure, but even on our basic sense of time.
Yeah, the authors pose this incredible question like, could thought itself, or even a self-aware mind, could that actually exist without expression, without words to give it shape?
And it gets even more radical. The sources paint this really stark picture. Without language, there'd be, and I'm quoting here, no past, only now,
Wow.
and no plans, only instinct.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Just only now, only instinct.
It means our whole ability to build a story of our lives, to see cause and effect, to plan for the future.
That whole scaffolding just collapses.
Exactly. Leaving us, as these texts suggest, with just this sort of eternal now, it's genuinely hard to wrap our heads around.
And that really underscores language's crucial role, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In how we construct our sense of time.
Absolutely. And it raises big questions about memory, too. I mean, without those linguistic hooks, how would memory even form properly? How would it be stable?
Hooks, like labels for things, categories.
Precisely. You wouldn't be able to easily compare experiences or maybe even consciously know if something repeated. Language seems foundational for structuring how we understand the past, how we see patterns.
It's a really wild concept. But, okay, the point of this whole enigma, this what if,
Yeah.
it isn't just sci-fi thinking, right?
No, not at all. It's presented more as a tool, a powerful way to help us understand, as they put it, what we're inside of.
Ah, okay. To highlight how pervasive language is, how much it shapes our reality, often without us even noticing.
Yeah, it drives home this core idea that essentially we live in language
Like water to a fish.
exactly like water to a fish. It's
Yeah.
this immersive environment that's constantly shaking everything. What we think, how we feel, what we perceive.
Okay, so if language is this fundamental, this pervasive environment, it immediately brings up a huge question.
Which is,
Did language create our way of thinking, or did thought come first and language just, followed?
the big debate. Yes, that's the fascinating philosophical battleground these sources really dive into next.
It's this ongoing argument, isn't it? Some say language shapes how we think.
While others argue that thought is more fundamental, it comes first, and language is more like a vehicle for expressing pre-existing thoughts.
And do the sources offer evidence for that second view, the pre-linguistic thought idea?
They do. They point to things like animals and even human infants.
Right. They clearly experience things. They think in some sense.
Yeah, they feel hunger, they direct their attention, they show fear, happiness, all without using words.
So that suggests pretty strongly that some form of thought can exist without verbal expression.
Which leads to this really interesting metaphor they use.
The narrow channel one, I found that really thought-provoking.
Me too. If thought is older or maybe broader than language, then language might act as this narrow channel.
Okay, so what does that imply? What gets lost or filtered out?
Well, think about those moments. You know, when you have a really complex feeling or a big idea brewing inside,
Yeah.
and then you try to put it into words and it just feels inadequate, like you've only captured a tiny piece of it.
Definitely happens.
The sources suggest language might be doing that constantly, acting as a limited or filtering mechanism, or maybe a slow filter applied to a faster process.
Wow. So much of our inner cognitive world, our thoughts, feelings, might remain unexpressed just
Mhm.
because the language channel is too narrow.
That's the implication. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kinds of thoughts, what subtle emotions are happening inside us all the time that just don't quite make it into spoken words?
It's not just about struggling to find the right word then. It might be that some experiences just don't have a linguistic equivalent.
That seems to be what they're suggesting, which naturally has huge implications for how we think about meaning itself.
Right. And this leads into challenging that bias, that assumption that language is like the only real way to convey meaning,
Exactly. The sources are quite critical of this linguistic bias, arguing that language is often treated as the only valid form of meaning.
which feels intuitively wrong when you stop to think about it.
It does, and if we broaden our understanding of communication, we start seeing meaning conveyed everywhere through so much more than words.
Like what specifically? What nonverbal systems do they mention?
Well, they list things like a pattern, a pause, a tone, a touch.
Okay, yeah. You see that in the arts, obviously.
Absolutely. Visual artists, musicians, dancers, the sources call them practitioners of systems without words. They create incredibly rich, complex meaning through totally different channels.
And even silence itself is mentioned.
hmm Silence isn't just an absence. Think about a dramatic pause in a speech or the space between notes and music. It's a loaded element.
Yeah, it can build tension, create emphasis.
Exactly. It communicates through absence. It's part of the system.
So this brings up that really pointed question from the sources. Why do we keep treating language like the only valid form of meaning?
And what answers do they suggest?
Well, maybe just habit. Or perhaps we're, as they put it, trapped inside it, so immersed we just can't see beyond the edges of language.
Which circles us right back to that core idea. We live in language. It's everywhere, permeating everything.
It feels totally ubiquitous.
It does. But
Yeah.
then comes this crucial caveat, this really powerful counterpoint they drop.
It's,
That language, well, it wasn't always here. And it doesn't have to stay,
whoa, okay, that hits differently.
doesn't it? It just drives home that language is, well, contingent. It's not eternal.
It challenges that deep assumption that language is this permanent, inevitable part of being human.
Exactly. It's a construct,
Yeah.
something we or our ancestors built. It's not some fundamental law of the universe etched in stone.
So, okay, let's try to pull this together for everyone listening. What does this journey mean for you?
Yeah, we've gone from imagining this really alien world without any words
Yeah.
to understanding language as this incredibly immersive system we live inside, but one that might also be kind of limiting.
And then recognizing this whole other vast, rich landscape of nonverbal communication that's happening all around us all the time.
So the final thought to leave people with, if language shapes so much, our memory, our sense of time, maybe even consciousness itself,
Hmm.
and yet it's not necessarily permanent, it doesn't have to stay.
Right. What does that actually mean for how humanity might evolve, how we communicate, how we make meaning, maybe in the distant future?
Are we already perhaps subtly shifting, finding new ways to understand each other that go beyond just words, maybe through technology or just a deeper awareness of that unspoken world?
It's definitely a thought that stretches the mind, isn't it? Something
Yeah.
to really ponder.